Hello, Jeanette.
Hi there. Can you hear me properly? Let me just make sure this is all set up. Hi. Do you folks know who I am or why I'm here?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And Chris was hoping that someone would come and address that.
Yeah, do you mean someone other than me?
No,
Okay.
I assume that you're as good a person as there is.
I was supposed to have surgery today, so I wasn't going to be here. So I was planning to come to your next meeting, but it got canceled, so I get to come. So I'm excited to meet you all.
Well, I'm Dan, and I'm one of the long-term transitioners. And coincidentally, I'm Chris's stepfather.
Oh, I'm
And
enjoying getting to know all the small town connections.
yeah, well, we talked a lot about climate activism back in the 2000s, early 2000s. And I was thinking of starting up a chapter of the, the Post-Carbon Institute.
Huh.
And he went and did training at UVic with Guy Cison and Pat Deacon with Rob Hopkins, and came up back all enthusiastic. And so we just decided to do that instead. Anyway.
I met with Pat Deacon late last week, and he had told me about those connections. And so it's nice to figure out this web.
I heard some interesting stories about Pat Deacon riding into town with Robert Gunn and Michael Lewis in 1973. And the three of them still maintain connections here. Robert lives here, and he's sort of, I guess, the head of the Alberni Climate Action Group. And Michael's living over on the Lower Mainland, and he's involved with the Synergy Institute. And I'm going to circulate sort of after the meeting a link to a MOOC that they're putting on in February, and it's really good. I've done a couple of versions of it. I'm going to do it again. So, and I think it's free.
What was the name of the organization that you said in Port Alberni, the climate action one?
Alberni Climate Action, and you are seeing the smiling face of Gail Morton, who is very publicly involved with ACA. And I'm a member of it, and Jim's a member of it. And so there's a sort of cross-pollination of ideas and hopefully some collaboration on projects and what have you.
Did I get a letter recently through Janice written by Alberni Climate Action about the OCP?
That's what's on. Gail, do you want to talk about that?
What was it, Jeanette? I'm Gail. Was it to do with the impact statement?
I'm currently triaging my work because I have the draft strategic plan to do. So I saw it and it's open in my Word documents, but I've yet to read it, but it's on my list. So all I know is that I got it, and I read the email saying that I believe you're submitting some thoughts for the OCP development and wanted us to consider doing something as well.
Oh, I see. Okay, so each, I think we divided up into some of us as individuals and some of us as two people working together or three working together on different sectors involving climate, such as transportation and buildings and natural assets and stuff like that, and waste and sewage, the whole city service area. And so we have just submitted the almost final draft to be edited by two other people, Bonnie and Mike Rattan. And so I believe Robert sent the draft out so everyone could have a go at seeing if there were any edits or things they wanted to add. Do I have that right, Jim and Dan?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll make that be the first thing I look at as soon as the strat plan is off.
Okay. Jeanette, I'm not really sure where you're coming from. Sorry, I
Yeah.
missed.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what your order meetings are, and I haven't met Jim yet. So nice to see your face,
yeah,
Jim.
okay.
But yeah, my name is Jeanette Sheehy. I've been hired by the Food Hub to help them sort of scale up their operations and develop a bit more of a solid foundation. So I live in Fort Alberni. I'm on 14th Avenue. I lived in Ucluelet before this and Tofino, and I did some work with the district of Tofino on their sustainability plans and putting them into action. And then before that, I used to run a nonprofit in Victoria called Life Cycles. So the focus there was on basically food security. And when I was hired by them, they were like $30,000 in debt and they were auctioning off their programs. But I'd moved to Victoria. I was probably, let's see, how old would I have been? 23 at the time. And I really wanted to work for Life Cycle. So I built my resume up specifically for them. And then a job opened up and I went in and was like, this is my 5-year plan. I was spoken to your board members. I spoken to your staff. You hire me. This is what I plan on doing. And then made the end of the 5-year plan in 3, built it up to like increase the operating budget by $300,000 and eliminated their deficit really early on. And so that's kind of what the hope is that I'll come in and help the Food Hub do, not maybe the same scale because it's a much different city, but yeah, I'm excited. And it seems I'm really excited to give you the update because I think that things are happening and I think it's just kind of naturally taking off and I'm just at the right moment to help guide it. So yeah, I'm excited to give you my update. I could do it now if you like, but I think you have an agenda.
Yeah, I
and
think
don't
rather
want to do
than
it, but-
having to follow the agenda slavishly, since you're on, why don't you just carry on?
Sure. Well, I'm really excited to meet you all. I had this moment today where I was talking to somebody who I worked with years ago and she was asking what I was doing right now. And I said, I kind of lucked into this really great job where I'm getting to help this organization scale up. And transition towns is a movement I've been really interested in for years. And I kind of thought, oh, I work for transition towns. Because it's taken me a little bit of time to sort out the organizational structure. But I think I'm getting a little bit more clarity. And I chatted with Chris maybe 2 weeks ago about where we're going. I'm going to have the draft strategic plan done for next week. And if you want, I can send that all to you as well. And then I'm going to gather feedback from the board and then refine it with a budget. And the plan, I've been doing stakeholder interviews. You're all welcome to be interviewed if you like, but so far I've started with the core folks and kind of asked them who to speak to. But the general feedback has been that the hub is in need of a more solid foundation before it can grow and to stop doing things that are maybe having not as large of an impact and focus on where there's the chance to have the greatest impact and then move from there. So the strategic plan that was done, 2019 is still a really good strategic plan, but perhaps the goals weren't necessarily all reached or some were reached, but not as solid. So my suggestion, building on the feedback, has been to basically take the strat plan and hit really hard on the aims of developing their financial stability and organizational structure and focus on the gleaning project and use the gleaning project as an opportunity to build a multiple revenue stream. Carly, who was the food coordinator, had this great idea of, instead of calling it the gleaning project, call it the gleaning club and start maybe spinning some of these things as like fun things to do together. And which really aligns with kind of my theories of change around, like, if we want to be really envisioning a future that makes us transition easily through climate change, and we're going to do that together, why not root that in like fun and celebration and really embodying the world we're hoping for as we move through it. So the plan would be to build revenue streams, work with local businesses, and perhaps make our own value-added products that we would sell. So potentially moving toward a quarter harvest sharing, so a quarter to the homeowner, a quarter to the gleaners, a quarter to social services, and a quarter to revenue generating to build up that sort of core capacity of the program. And I met with Amy Needham, who was recently hired by the by the city to run the parks department. And I met with Pat Deacon to pitch the idea. I was at an ACRD meeting and Amy heard me chat, and she used to work in northern Alberta. I forget the town, but she was working for their parks department, and she really strongly incorporated fruit trees to their programming and started doing more fruit trees on public lands and public orchards. And so her and I talked about going for some really large grants, some system change grants through the Vancouver Foundation to do fruit tree rehabilitation over a couple years, maybe like 3, rehabilitate fruit trees on public lands and private lands and track how gleaning yields increase over time. And then make a model that can be spread through different districts and different cities to say, this is how our yields increases. This is what we did. This is how we worked towards it. This is a partnership between public like organizations and cities, and then spread that. So Pat's on board. They're going to be because we're not a charity, we can't apply for ourselves, but he gave us permission to apply through the city as a partnership relationship. So Amy and I are going to start looking for grants, but my hope would be to go for the Vancouver Foundation Systems Change grant of $100,000 a year for 3 years to run the gleaning project and the city parts. So my aim is to get the gleaning project to be the monetary vessel that scales up the entire organization. And I just finished the grant for the Canada Summer Jobs, which will allow us to hire Carly back again. It will allow, ideally, if we get it, her to be paid for 30 hours a week for 16 weeks. We would get $7,000 worth of funding, and we would only need to pay about $2,400 to have her really steer things along. And the aim would be for me to coach her so that she can sort of learn all the things. She's roughly the same age I was when I started Life Cycles, and neither of us had a whole lot of mentorship when we were first doing the role. So the aim would be to train her so that she can kind of do what I had done. So that's the aim with the gleaning project. The other aim would be to pretend we just got, I don't know if you know this, I'm sure it was shared with you, but that the Island Food Hub's funding is potentially increasing by $22,000 annually for 2 years. So there'll be a large chunk of core funding. And the thought, one thing that has been emerging from the stakeholder interviews and that I'm going to propose is that my role continue as it is for 5 hours a week, but that I serve as support. So anyone in transition towns who wants support with either grant writing, project development, any kind of service or support that I could do with my experience, that it gets lent to the entire organization, as well as any volunteers within the food hub. So Candace, who's been running our food programs, is really keen to work with schools, but hasn't really done those before. And originally when I was hired by Life Cycles, it was to run the school garden program. So I've offered to work with her to help scale up her project and connect her to whatever she needs. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. There's another idea. One of the new board members is a woman named Tina Windsor, who owns Picnic Charcuterie in Tofino. And she is selling her business, and she has bought a home in Port Alberni. And so she has experience making value-added products, teaching workshops. She knows how to butcher, cure meat, make cheese, and she's a professional. She's not a chef, she's not a red seal, but she's a cook. And so she's interested in helping us potentially do workshops. I met with the EJ Dunn, the family center that's attached to it. Have any of you seen this center before?
Just at a distance.
Okay, so this is a resource that I'm really excited about. For $200, you can have a membership that gives you unlimited access as long as the facility is free from September until end of June. It has a teaching kitchen, which was what they used for their home ec classes. It's got either 5 or 6 teaching stations, and at the very front is a teacher's area that looks the exact same as all the others. And there's a camera that projects onto a screen just above it. So if you're at your station, you can see the person teaching, but also up high, you can see how their hands are moving on the stoves and things. So Tina and I have been brainstorming, once she's got time, sort of a sliding scale workshops where folks who have more money would pay more, folks who have less money would pay less. You'd come together, you'd do food prep, you'd then make your meals, Some of the meals people make for themselves, they get to take home and freeze. So this is based off of a program in Victoria where friends would get together and make like big bulk meals and then take home multiple meals that they would freeze. So they had meals throughout the week. But a portion people would get to take home, a portion would get given away for free to folks who need pre-made meals. They could be either folks on disability, they could be children who've aged out of care and have difficulty making meals for themselves. They could be low-income families, they could be folks who don't have homes. So a portion will be given away for free, and then a portion that perhaps Tina or the person giving the lesson would make would get sold as a product, either at the general store who is interested in working with us and selling our products, or possibly Guy Langlois, who works with the Shelter Society. He is trying to retrofit their 3rd Street property with coolers and freezers for sale, so another possible location. So my strat plan, what I'm going to do, instead of expanding on what is currently here, because I think it's good, we just need to actually accomplish these things, is to develop a rough outline of where we're going, and if it's approved, developed a staged work plan. So we're going to do this first. Once that's been accomplished, so it's like an overflowing cup. Once this cup is full, we'll move on to this cup. Once this cup is full, we'll move on to this cup, and we'll follow the relationships that unfold or make the easiest route to follow is where we'll go first. So the Gleaning Project relationship with the city is like the nicest relationship with a city I've ever worked with in terms of enthusiasm and desire to make this happen, and a staff person who's keen. EJ Dunn Food Project seems a little bit down the road as more things fall into place. Yeah, and my hope is that with the funding from the Food Hub and the funding from Canada Summer Jobs, that will carry us through until either the Vancouver Foundation grant comes in, or there's a gaming grant that comes in August. It will be open, and then funding comes through in November. So my hope is that by this time next year, we have a full slate of funding to scale up some of the major projects for 2023, and that the funding we have on hand, coupled with Canada Summer Jobs, should get us to sort of stay where we're at with a little bit more support, and ideally keeping Carly on until November. So that's my most comprehensive outline I can give you right now without any questions.
Well, I would think that there might be a good idea to, within the context of our meetings, is to schedule some public interaction so that when the outline firms up, that we start getting the word out into the community. Let people know what's going on, even for people that aren't directly concerned with it.
Yeah, one thing that I want to plant this seed because I need some feedback, but consistently when I meet with people and I say I work with a food hub, they're like, which one? It is really becoming sort of I can't help but laugh every time it comes up, because I'm like, let me help parse this out. So I mentioned to Chris, it might be interesting to talk about Transition Town as a whole, and how does it get spoken about, and how does the food hub fit in it, and like even taking Carly's idea of, instead of calling it the food hub, calling it the food club or the food hub club or something, so that it's like, I don't know, just thinking about the structure of the organization and where it fits. And I had mentioned to Chris the idea of, if we're building up the food hub with the Gleaning Project as its core, is it possible that that could help the Transition Town as a whole also? Oh, and in order to do the payment of Carly and get the Canada Summer Jobs, we need to hire an accountant to do the formal filing for the marks and things. And so one of my proposals was that the food hub with our core funding pay for, if any other area of Transition Towns needs a formal bookkeeper, that we could fund that happening. So potentially the food hub could continue to support the core organization of the hub or the Transition Town Society as it grows.
Good.
That's really spectacular. I'm not sure I followed it all. There's a lot happening there, but I do have lots of experience with the gleaning, and I'd love to talk to you about it for 10 minutes or 15 minutes sometime.
I would love that. I actually have a stakeholder survey or like questionnaire that I could send to you, and then we can have either a conversation about it if you want, or you can just, if it's easier for you, you can just fill it out, but I'm happy to have conversations. So if you just put your email in the chat, I'll email it to you.
I will do.
Thank you. And I will send you all the draft strategic plan so you don't have to just remember it from my words, but hopefully it's clearly laid out in there.
It would be lovely.
Thank you, Jeanette. Sounds fabulous.
Hi, Mary Layton. Didn't get a chance to welcome you.
You're muted.
Right. I have the agenda handy. So I guess acknowledging that we're meeting on the traditional territory of the Hupachuset and Shot nations, and we thank them for facilitating that process. Mentioned Saturday coming up. Michael's not, or not with us. So, but that's mid-March, and it's a big thing at Char's, probably outside. I think Char's applying to have Argyle Street closed off, so we can spill right out into the street and we won't be indoors, and so we have that to look forward to. What else does it say here? I'm not going to read out the financial stuff. I will post it to the website. Let's see. I don't see anybody from the Nature Club. Gail, do you want to, or Jim, do you want to mention anything from our ACA doings?
I think Gail's probably better to talk about the ACA, and the Nature Club is continuing, and there's nothing particular happening right now, but it's growing. And yeah, okay, that's enough.
ACA, we just had our first meeting of the new year with Rob Dickinson on Tuesday. And it was a very interesting meeting, but we still don't have any idea yet as to when the public input process begins for the OCP. So we've been waiting for that information for quite a long time now. Don't know what the holdup is, but that's where we're at. So with the document that Jeanette, you got into your inbox, with that ready to be edited, I think our timing is going to be good. I think our document will be ready in time for the public process to begin, however it begins. And I think that's basically all I have on that.
Well, you could also add that Gail and I have been doing a community climate circle that gets it was last meeting, there was 10 people sitting on a Zoom meeting discussing their how they can reduce their personal carbon footprint, and the idea is to try to expand, and Dan was there at previous meetings, and
I was there last meeting too.
Were you there last meeting too? Sorry.
I was.
And anyway, and the idea being to spin off and create more community climate circles. So it seems like it may work. It's going to work.
Well, it's a model that I know Guy Dauncey really wants to sort of have penetrate out into the community, so that a lot of us are talking to each other about climate and what we can do.
And Guy is very willing to offer free training if we get enough people together. If there are enough, maybe an organization in town or whatever, if we got enough people together, he's willing to present on climate and what people can do to help out as well. And with the climate circle, at least in Port Alberni, we've got some speakers lined up, presenters. We've got Amy Needham that Jeanette mentioned, and She's going to speak on agriculture and the importance of plants in the city. And also Alice is coming from Surfrider to present on tying in climate change with plastics. So we're hoping to have them, maybe Jim, one a month, one speaker per month, maybe.
I'll have
Yeah.
to decide.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to the group. And anybody's welcome to join. If you know of anybody who's interested, they can just shout, and anybody's welcome to join.
All right. Go by bike. I don't know the exact date, but mid-February, there's a winter go by bike day, and I encourage everybody to register if you haven't already and pedal a few kilometers to show that we don't go into entire hibernation over the winter. And that'll get posted to the website. So what else we got? I don't see anything else of great import on the agenda. So unless somebody wishes to bring some new business forward. Not seeing that, I would propose that it's probably time to adjourn.
Can I ask where those beautiful fish lanterns are?
That's at Char's Landing. That's Char was right in front of you.
Where is Char's Landing?
It's on Argyle and 5th, right across from City Hall.
There she is.
Hi.
Welcome, Jeanette. I actually connected to you on Facebook and welcomed you. Are you in Port Alberni? You and I haven't met.
We haven't. No, sorry. I'm staring at your little square, which is why I look like I'm not looking at you. I just moved here about exactly a year ago, maybe a little bit, just a year and a month ago. So I'm new, and I'm new during a pandemic. So don't know anyone.
Well, welcome. But yeah, normally the meetings are here at Char's. And sorry, I don't know. Are you in speaker view? If you go in speaker view, then it'll appear correctly when I'm speaking. But welcome, yay! Next time, I don't think March. Pardon me, I don't think February, but hopefully March, everyone can come back to Char's. Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. I hope everyone's staying well.
Char is a music presenter as well as a venue.
And spoken word.
Jeanette, you were asking about the Mermaid and the Salmon. Yeah, there's 16-foot long luminaries at the back of the hall here. And they were done by a local art group, Art Rave Society, and they did them as community art projects. Yeah, community collaborations. So, and where else can you hang a 16-foot luminary? Only at Char's.
Just looking up Art Rave now. This is great.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm learning more about Port than I have in like the last 6 months. This one conversation.
Well, good. You've got good energy, and I'm especially happy about the gleaning projects. That's kind of a favorite of ours as well. Yeah, really, really good influx. I was happy to hear that there are grants available through Vancouver Foundation. Is that what you said? They have grants available?
Yeah, they've got a number. So Life Cycles used to have, or still has, a fruit tree project, and it's quite substantial. The fruit tree project was like the main vehicle for us getting funding at Life Cycles as well. This year they harvested 80,000 pounds of fruit, which is more than, I think it's 20,000 more than their best year before. And they just burnt out a bunch of their people they normally give it to because it was actually just too much fruit. So I just recently connected them to some people I think that can take more of it. But we used to get funding from United Way and the Victoria Foundation as sort of the core funding for that project. So I'm going to look into those as well, see if there's other core funding. But the funding generally goes up the more fruit you distribute. So real incentive for us to reach more houses and build a volunteer base.
Yeah, that was the thing. Robert, I think, have you met Robert Paulson?
No.
Yeah, because he's the gleaning king, I think, right? Right, Dan? But
He's run it the last couple of years kind of
yeah.
by default.
yeah, kind of
Yeah.
lacking volunteers and lacking energy right now. So so it'd be great to get some newfound. I love the idea of gleaning club. It's got a better ring to it, and yeah, build some energy, build some momentum. Yeah.
Carly's been reaching out to or at least has started reaching out to the volunteers to see what we can do to make them feel more supported and loved and come back strong. So hopefully this year, and she's been volunteering her time the last little while trying to get it up and going before we actually start. So much gratitude to her.
Yay. Oh, good.
So Char,
Mary, how do you do this?
after we adjourn, can you stick around for a sec? Because I have a question for you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else?
My internet's a little choppy, so I'm hesitant to say hello. But Dan, when is CD Saturday? I think I missed that.
I believe it's March 19th.
Okay, so I have time to get ready. Great. And Jeanette, hello. I'm also new to Port Alberni. I moved here in August, but I actually used to volunteer for Life Cycles. Yeah, did a bunch of fruit harvesting. So I really look forward to being involved here in Port Alberni with the same. Yeah.
What year did you volunteer for the Fruit Tree Project?
Last year. Yeah, before I moved up here. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Were you in you were in Victoria then for a while?
Yeah.
Well, great. Nice to have another person who just moved here.
I
And I'll
was
see you, I'm
thinking-
sure, at the cleaning project.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, well, Jim, I'm going to email you right now, so you'll get this email right away. It was lovely
Okay.
to meet you all.
Our pleasure.
Likewise.
Yeah, nice to meet you and nice to see everybody again.
Absolutely.
Good night, all.
Good
Okay,
night.
we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time.
Exactly.
Bye.